And I'm back. This is your man Warrior, and this is going to be a review about Dengar. Now, Dengar, I've done a previous video on sort of about all the scoundrels, and he definitely made the top 5 best scoundrels ever. I'd have put him higher than number 5, except he's exceptionally hard to farm. So you can farm him. The only place you can farm is in the guild store, and the guild store, of course, you're going to compete with Jawa Engineer and Ray, and so it makes it really difficult to get him. So if you're willing and dedicated to get him, I will give you the overall rating that he's a phenomenal scoundrel and definitely worth the farm. He was, before mods, a little bit more relevant than after mods. The mods have now given us an ability to really create and creatively change the stats of our characters, but before the mods he was really known for being able to apply tenacity down, which really allowed for you and your turn meter reducers to work effectively. But now with the potency mods and things like that, you can get T-Bow to really work without the need for a Dengar reducing that tenacity. But he is known for his tenacity down. That's really what makes him amazing. Side note, I do want to give a shout out to my team, Team Instinct. Whoop whoop. Yeah, they are awesome. We've got 3 teams now. We're just starting a new team called Team Echo. If you are a top tier player and you want to join, you can go to www.teaminstinct.net. I will tell you, these guys are super selfless, super amazing, and the guys and gals. And they really are able to answer all the questions. I mean, within 15 minutes, they had every Dengar question that I had asked answered. So I'll give a shout out to Bennett. What's up? He answered all my questions in a timely manner and was able to really get me to understand. I will tell you, Dengar, the reason why there's so many requests for Dengar as a video is probably because Dengar is a convoluted character. When I say that, I mean his stats and abilities just grow and grow and grow, and by the time they're maxed, they're doing 2 and 3 different things at one time potentially, and then there's 4 different abilities, and so you're talking about like 16 different potential things that could be happening with Dengar. So it's kind of complicated, but I'm going to go through it. And so again, thanks Bennett from Team Instinct for really making this clear for me and answering my questions. All right, so let's get down to it. Dengar, he's got an average power overall of about 7,500. His speed's over 100 at 103. You will definitely want to bump that up. He's pretty tanky. Now, he's not a tank, and he has the ability to go into stealth mode if he takes some critical damage. We'll talk about that later. So he's kind of a self-sustainer. He's going to keep himself alive, but he's overall health is over 21,500. I mean, if you get him maxed out and boost him up with some mods, you could have him, into the almost 50,000 with protection and health, which is absolutely nutty. So that's pretty amazing. Because he really truly acts almost like a tank. Now, for leveling up his gear, he has 3 raid gear parts. He has, unfortunately, over 1,000 purples, 1,010 purples. Now, you'll notice I just unlocked Dengar. I did put him on this back burner for Jawa Engineer, and then I had to level him up to level 46 so I could apply as many of my gear pieces that I had in stock on him. And so I haven't farmed for him at all. I just leveled him up to 46, and I put as many of my gear pieces that I had in stock, and I was able to get mine to gear 4. But I really am not going to do anything with Dengar for now, but I will definitely level him up later on. But so the reason why in the past he was super important for raids and why you can still use him in the raids is his tenacity down. Obviously, if you use someone very cool like Phasma, Captain Phasma as a lead, her ability Victory March will be able to give everybody advantage, and we know that advantage is going to give him a guaranteed critical. And with the guaranteed critical, he's going to obviously get his guaranteed tenacity down with his AoE, because all you need is at least 1 critical to get the tenacity down for 3 turns. And then, of course, your turn meter reducers. We're talking phase 1 of a raid. You're going to get your turn meter reducers to take away the turn meter from the captain, the guard captain. And so with that guaranteed tenacity down through the Phasma lead, you're able to... and this was before mods, of course. Now we can mod up our potency and whatnot to make sure that T-Bow's turn meter reduction works, or Qui-Gon Jinn's turn meter reduction works. But so again, a little bit less relevant in the raids, but if you had a Phasma lead and you did Victory March, that would give him advantage. Advantage gives him a guaranteed crit. Then he can do his AoE, which is guaranteed tenacity down for 3 turns. And then your turn meter reducers can step in, like your Rex, your Qui-Gon Jinn, your T-Bows, to really shut the guard captain down and really just solo that first part of the raid and get your 2 million damage and go into the second tier pretty unhurt. So pretty cool little combination. And again, I haven't seen too many people using him, Dengar, anymore, because like I said, mods have given us ability to really trick out our characters in the way that we best see fit. I will tell you how to mod him though. Definitely want to teach you how to mod him because it is super important that you have it right. So pretty simple. On the top left, the square mod, you're going to put in offense, of course. That's the only primary stat. So I'm going to go through primary stats first. And your secondary stats, as many critical chance secondaries and speed secondaries as possible on all of them. But on your primary stat, the top left one's going to be your offense. Right below that is going to, on the diamond, is going to be your defense. Below that in the circle is going to be protection. The top right's going to be speed for your primary stat, and then below that in the triangle is going to be critical chance, not critical damage, but critical chance, as high as you can get it. And then on the plus, the bottom right plus, you're going to want to do that as potency, so that way because he lays down a ton of negative status effects, and you're going to want him to be effective when doing so. So as far as the primary stats, we went over that. You're going to want to also make sure that you do set bonuses as best as possible. And the set bonuses I would choose would be one potency set bonus. I would definitely do a potency set bonus. And then the other 2 set bonuses, if you can, I would do 2 critical chance set bonuses. So that way you're really maxing out his critical chance and potency. Now, when you see his abilities and his attacks, you're going to see why potency is so important and why critical chance is so important. He is a decent attacker already, so increasing his critical damage isn't as necessary as really getting all of his abilities to trigger. So I'm going to go through these. Now, I don't have my attacks and abilities leveled up at all, so I'm going to have to go through and tell you what they're going to be at some point once they are maxed. So the first one is called Target Spotted. So it's going to deal physical damage to a target enemy, and if the target is suffering from any debuffs, and by the way, your team is probably going to be doing these debuffs, and he does debuffs as well, so this is going to probably trigger a couple of times in a battle. But if they're suffering from any debuffs, he can get a 60% chance to call an ally to assist. It shows 40% right now, but it's maxed out at a 60% chance to call an assist. Now, any character that calls an assist, that's a free attack, so that's awesome. And if that ally's a scoundrel, and by the way, I recommend him for a scoundrel team, the attack is guaranteed to be a critical hit. So there's a greater than 50% chance that he's going to get an assist, and it's going to be a crit if he's on that team. So this is awesome. Again, this is only if there's debuffs on that character, but he's a debuffer, so this is kind of a match made in heaven. So the next one is going to be called Blast and Smash, and I will tell you, this is one of the coolest moves in the entire game to watch. I really enjoy watching him chin check individuals by running up and smashing them in the face after he shoots at them while he runs up to them. Now, the base stat damage for the target spotted, his basic, is around 3,000 base stat damage, which is average. I mean, he's going to hit for 6,000 to 8,000 on his basic if he's critting. On this one, his base stat damage is going to be around 5,500. So on a critical, he's going to be between 10 to 15,000. That's a solid smash. That's really solid. Now, it says deal physical damage to a target enemy with a 50% chance to inflict speed down for, and it goes to 3 turns. So he's going to go ahead and damage them, and 50% of the time he's going to inflict speed down for 3 turns. So this is really cool because the next time, for the next 3 turns, their turn meter is going to be moving a lot slower, and so their turns are not going to come around as much because it's doing 50% speed down for 2 turns. Now, this is where you want to target certain characters to make sure that you maximize the blast and smash. Any character that has 50% or more turn meter, the stun will actually go up to 100%, and so it just says you will stun that target for a turn. So you see a character that's about to go on the other side, you go ahead and do blast and smash. You're going to do a ton of damage. You're going to inflict speed down for 3 turns potentially, and you're going to stun them. And when they come off a stun, which they're about to do because they're about to go, right? They're over 50% turn meter. You'll stun them. They'll lose their turn. And then the next 3 turns they have are going to be moving a whole lot slower because of speed down. So this is Blast and Smash is excellent. Now, the only downside to Blast and Smash is this ability to do speed down for 3 turns is only at 50%. You know, 50-50 chance. I'd love to see it higher than that, but that's where it is currently at. And then we've got Mini Mind Mayhem. Now, Mini Mind Mayhem and Grizzled Veteran are some of the 2 most convoluted abilities in the entire game because they start off simple, they get very, very complicated, and they're very layered. And so we're going to go through them. The Mini Mind Mayhem. So this is his ability to do an AoE. He's going to throw mines out. He's going to hit everybody, okay? This is where critical chance is super, super important because it says it'll deal physical damage to all enemies. If this attack scores at least 1 critical hit, now when it's maxed out, there's going to be a tier of if he scores 1 critical hit, he gets this. If he scores 2 critical hits, he gets this. If he scores 3 critical hits, he gets this. And he can have, if he scores 3 critical hits on 3 people, all 3 of those abilities applied to all 3 of those characters. So this Mini Mind Mayhem is really mayhem. It truly is. So you're going to want his critical chance up because you definitely want him to get 3 critical hits every time he uses the AoE. And so you want to get that critical chance up as high as humanly possible, which is why, again, I told you to do 2 critical chance bonus sets, and in the triangle, putting in critical chance. Now, when this is maxed out, this AoE does average damage, but if you get 1 critical damage to 1 person on the AoE, you will apply to that person who you critted tenacity down for 3 turns. If you get 2 critical hits on that AoE, it's going to apply damage over time for 3 turns and tenacity down for 3 turns on the individuals who you hit for the criticals. And if you can get 3 critical hits or more, everybody that got hit with a crit, so 3, 4, or 5 characters that get hit with a crit, will all have tenacity down for 3 turns, damage over time for 3 turns, and 50% turn meter reduction. Now that is pretty amazing because those are horrible. The damage over time for 3 turns is going to keep them with red over their head. Tenacity down for 3 turns is going to keep them with red over their head. And turn meter reduction is always beneficial when you're in a game where turns are all that matter. And so then he's going to use his basic, his target spotted, and it says if they have a debuff, and of course they're living in debuff land with this Mini Mind Mayhem that he does, he's going to have a 60% chance to call an assist, and if they're Scoundrel, it's guaranteed to be a critical. So it's just crazy because it really plays well with a team with other Scoundrels, and the fact if you can get his critical chance up high enough to where he's critting 3, 4, or 5 times every time you throw this, you're going to screw them for 3 turns on tenacity down and damage over time. The other thing that's really, really cool about this is there's only a 4-turn cooldown, so right when they start losing their negative status effects, you're going to be able to use this all over again, although I don't know of a fight going to go necessarily 6 rounds unless you're... Well, I don't see a fight ever going past that. But anyway, it's just interesting that it goes for 3 turns, and he's got a reset of 4 turns on this AoE, so that's pretty cool. By the way, the Blast and Smash had a 3-turn cooldown, so his ability to smash somebody and stun them if they have a lot of turn meter and inflict speed down on that previous Blast and Smash is only a 3-turn cooldown. It shows currently for me 4-turn, but you can drop that down, of course, when you max it out. And so you get to use this every 3 turns. That's pretty nice. And then the last one is Grizzled Veteran. Now, Grizzled Veteran is, again, another very layered ability, just like the AoE that he has that we just talked about, the Mini Mind Mayhem, how if you get 1, if you get 2, if you get 3. Well, the Grizzled Veteran is very, very similar. There are 3 abilities that eventually you'll have and have maxed out once you get this to level 7. The first is whenever Dengar receives a critical hit, he gains stealth, and this will go up to 2 turns. So basically, he's going to self-preserve. Anytime he takes regular hits, no big deal. He's a tank anyway. He's not a technical tank, but he's got a lot. He's very tanky. So he takes a regular hit, no big deal. But he gets a crit hit on him, yeah, that's a big deal. He's going to go ahead and stealth himself out and protect himself. He's going to make sure that he's no longer a target for anybody's damage. So that is really, really cool. And that's just rolling as a unique throughout the entire battle. So he's going to stealth himself anytime he takes a lot of critical damage. The other thing he will do is if he's trying to hit the other player and they do any kind of evasion, and we know that evasion is very popular. We're talking the Dooku's, the Obi-Wans, the Luminaras. Anytime that they evade, he gets plus 60% turn meter. 60% turn meter every single time they evade. This is kind of like, you know, the B2 and getting his turn meter when people evade. So this is really, really cool if you want someone to go a lot. His speed is important, but this right here against an evasion team would make him just go a ton because he gets plus 60% turn meter every time they evade. And of course, if you're throwing the Mini-Mind Mayhem and they evade, 2 or 3 evade because there's an evasion team, he's going to guaranteed get another turn automatically. Now, anytime that he gets critted, he'll go into stealth for 2 turns, but anytime that he gets a negative status effect, so anybody's actually able to apply a negative status effect over his head, he's going to automatically go tenacity up for 2 turns. He's going to give himself tenacity up. Now, this is why on the mod table on the far right, the plus symbol, that I told you to put potency and not tenacity, because he'll raise his own tenacity by getting a negative status effect. If in fact he gets a negative status effect, he's going to automatically go tenacity up for 2 turns, which is going to pretty much be guaranteed to not have any other status effects for 2 turns applied against him. And so he's going to keep himself protected from negative status effects with the tenacity up. He's also going to give himself the ability to stealth for a couple turns if he crits, and he's going to get a lot of turns if the other team is evading. So Grizzled Veteran is just an amazing, unique ability that's layered like an onion with 3 different special and unique abilities. And then, of course, you've got your Mini-Mind Mayhem, which deals an AoE to everybody, you know, damage to everyone. And, you know, you really want him to crit as much as possible, so get those crit chance mod sets and the crit chance on the triangle, so that way he's doing 3 critical damage you know, to 3 or more characters. And then of course the characters will all get all 3 of those: tenacity down, the damage over time for 3 turns, tenacity down for 3 turns, and then reducing their turn meter. And of course blast and smash, just fun to watch, but every 3 turns you can smash them in the face with a 10 to 15,000 hit. More than likely give them speed down for 3 turns, and if of course they were about to go, they got more than 50% turn meter, you're going to stun them. And then on his basic, if they have negative status effects, which they're almost guaranteed to have, he has a 60% chance to call an assist, and if that assist is a scoundrel, it's going to do savage damage. It's going to do critical damage. Again, I put Dengar in the top 3 for best characters in the scoundrel section. He's a very, very solid attacker. My overall review would be awesome. He is the way to go. I would definitely put him on one of the highest priority lists for a scoundrel. The only downside, again, and I'll repeat this, is his inability to be farmed fast. You're going to have to compete with him and Ray and Jawa Engineer, and if you want Grimorian Guard or any of those other characters that come out of the guild shop. So that is his only downside. You know, out of an overall character review, I would highly, highly recommend Dengar. Again, he's definitely going to, once I get Jawa Engineer up, I am going to refocus on Dengar. I'm going to get him max level, max geared. Definitely going to max his abilities out, and he's going to be one of my staples on my scoundrel team. I'm really excited about that. But enough requests for this character. I went ahead and decided to do it. I would normally test drive the character and show you how the character works. Unfortunately, my character right now, my Dengar, is just a big fat turd. So you're going to, hey, he's brown too. Isn't that funny? I'm just kidding. All right. So anyway, now that you know how Dengar works, if you have any questions about Dengar or his abilities, please leave a comment down below. If you have any ideas for other videos, of course, I've got a huge list going, but you can always leave a comment and I will try my best to add that to the list. I do appreciate your time, and as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.